Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me good in this microphone?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, welcome to Louisiana Words Live Homecoming. This is our second show this year. We typically try to do 3 to 4 shows a year. Some of them will be online too. If you're not familiar with Louisiana Words is a movement I started about a decade ago where I was just kind of getting people to express themselves. I don't know if you remember the Sandy Hook shooting back then. My response to it was to do something, so I started doing this blog because I wanted to promote choosing creativity over violence. And so now, I guess it's evolved in a decade, I've now changed Louisiana Words to be a nonprofit for writers, LGBTQI+ and ally writers in the state of Louisiana. To be a part of Louisiana Words, you just have had to have lived in Louisiana or you live in Louisiana. So for instance, if you're someone that lives in Baton Rouge, lived in Baton Rouge, but you're living in Miami, you're still a part of Louisiana Words because you've been in Baton Rouge. I encourage you guys to please visit LouisianaWords.com to see the content that we have. We have discovered well over like maybe 120 writers now. We have about 1,200 pieces of content on the website. We're really looking to polish it once we really get our final nonprofit status. I encourage you guys to please spread the word about this. What I really want to see is I want to see our community in this state feel like they can be voiced, they can be cared about. There are some crazy things happening in this state, but I just want everyone to not feel oppressed and feel like there's a space for them to vocalize what they're going through, because everybody's experience is valid, and I think especially our experience needs to be recognized in the state of Louisiana. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Cool, great. All right, so I want to go ahead and introduce, I am Toliver Jr. I don't even think I said my name. I am Toliver Jr. I am the creator of Louisiana Words. I live in Austin, but I come back here to do these shows. I've been doing Louisiana Words for a decade now. We're really trying to just kind of give the little pizzazz we can to really make this a steamroll of something that people really want to participate. You can be an established writer, or you can be someone that just writes in the privacy of your own home. So I encourage you, if you have anything to share, please talk to me at the end of the show. I would love to have you on there. We can talk about how to submit and all that type of stuff. And also, at any point through the show, we're going to be doing open mics. If you have anything you want to share, please volunteer. With that being said, I'm going to invite your real host with the most muscles. And so, J. Michael Norris.
All right.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Lewis. Let's give him another round of applause, our creator of Louisiana Words. Okay, y'all, so tonight we do have 3 scheduled readers. 4 including myself. And then we're going to have a couple of open mic sessions. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're actually going to start with me reading. I'm going to read a very short reading. It's just something that I had published on Louisiana Words a couple of years ago. And since it's Decadence Weekend, I thought I would have something that was a little bit sex related, but it's not quite erotica. But that's what I'm going to be reading tonight. And then after I do that, I'm going to introduce our next reader, okay? All right. So this was published in December of 2022, and it's called What's Up? Since the pandemic hit, a guy I used to cam with back when I was single keeps messaging me on Facebook. He says he wants me to get on cam and degrade him so he can get off. I remind him that I'm engaged and he has a boyfriend now, so it's probably not the best idea, and he says, just kidding, LOL. And we leave it at that until an hour later when he says his boyfriend won't call him a slut or a faggot when they screw, and he feels all alone in the world. I message back that I don't want to let him down, but like I said, I'm engaged and he's in a relationship and it's been years, and really, it's not going to happen. He sends me some new pics of his ass and one of him naked in pink lace panties, so I ignore him until he tells me he's just joking, and then I'm an asshole, and then he's sorry, and finally good night. A week later, I tell my fiance, and she says it's no biggie. I should just cam with him and let him get off, and I'm pretty sure she's testing me. Besides, I tell her I wouldn't want to do that, and I wouldn't want her to do that. To me, that's cheating. And she tells me I'm too hung up on things and it's just like porn, but I don't see how it can be just like porn when I know this guy and he sent me pictures of his dog before, a Bichon Frise named Lola, that looks like a powder puff, not a dog. No, that can't just be porn, I tell her. And she says, I just want drama, and decides to go to the gym. So I tell her to be careful and wipe down the machines and wear a mask. But before I can finish, she tells me to stop trying to baby her and that I'm way too concerned with something that's just like the flu, and she leaves. And even though I haven't left the house myself in almost 2 months, I start to wonder if maybe she's right and I am being a baby about all of this. 2 days later, while I'm reading about a man who had COVID and described it as drowning on your own lungs, the guy from before messages me saying, "What's up?" and "Want a cam?" And I remember what my fiance said and decide, fine, I guess I should go ahead, since apparently this is just like porn and he feels all alone in the world, and who am I to ignore someone in need, and besides, we're all gonna die, especially people like my fiance won't take this seriously. I get out my lube and set up the cam while he does the same, and he calls me on Skype. When I answer, he's already nude, turned around on a dirty black bedspread covered in strange white shadows. And he says he wants to be made to feel bad, and I tell him he's dirty and a slut. And then he bends over in front of the camera and he arches his back. It's hot seeing him like that, but it feels weird, and it's been so long since I've been with a man, and I wonder if my fiance might come home. Call me worthless, he says. So I say he's worthless, and I slip my shorts and underwear around my ankles and pop open the lube and pour some in my hand. I can't seem to get excited though, even though he looks hot. It's been so long since I've done this, and my fiance won't let me call her a slut or a whore like I want because it makes her feel gross, even though she calls me all sorts of things like fat and lazy, now that I won't leave the house or go to work out with her at the gym. He starts panning, and I'm telling him he's the biggest whore I've ever seen, and he looks all used up and dirty, and I finally start to get excited. But then his dog Lola jumps up on the bed next to him, a fuzzy white ball that starts biting his toes and growling. And this guy, he kicks, knocking Lola off the side of the bed, and I hear her thump to the ground and yelp, but he just keeps tugging between his legs. And I say he needs to check on her, but he says just call him a slut and a whore, and I feel sad and nervous and small all at once, so I tell him he's an actual asshole, and I try to hang up on Skype, but the mouse slips off the side of the desk from the lube on my hand, and I hear him moaning and panting, so I get down on my knees, and I rip the electrical cord out from the wall socket, and the screen goes black, and I wipe the lube off with my shorts, and then I grab my phone and I block him on Facebook. I sit back down in my desk chair, staring at the dark computer screen, wondering if I'm really right for my fiance after all, because this isn't okay, and I don't want it to be okay, and no, I don't want to jerk off with other people on Skype and pretend it's not cheating, and no, I absolutely don't want to die drowning on my own lungs because of her. I don't. So that's my story. Like I said, it's not really erotic. Sorry, tricked you. Okay, so our first reader is Lily Lechler. I'm going to bring Lily up in just 1 second. I want to tell you a little bit about Lily. Lily has been reading with us for quite some time now. I want to say it's going on a couple of years at least. And Lily has read all sorts of things, from poetry and little short stories. I know that tonight, though, Lily Lechler will be reading excerpts from a novel that she is working on right now. So without further ado, please welcome Lily to the stage.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, I do have some excerpts from a novel I'm working on. It is... I really need to work on the elevator pitch more, and I should have done that before I got on stage. But I would describe it as there's high fantasy and low fantasy. I would say it's gutter fantasy. It's in a world of magic. What's the person who runs the bar at 2 a.m. doing? What's the store clerk at that shop where you get your potions to heal? How's their depression going? Who are they hooking up with? If their boss gets kidnapped and they find his severed hand on the ground, do they care? Maybe they do. Maybe their boss supplies them with the things they need to live. So maybe they have to go fight a dragon. So I'm going to read a few excerpts from that novel that is very, very much a work in progress. And then I have one piece about a woman who died in 1587. The first excerpt is about the character Maeve, who, when her boss is kidnapped, begins going through a psychotic break because she doesn't have the potions he gives her to live. She could feel the wasps attempting to emerge out of her pores, a scratching, wriggling, itching sensation. Maeve sank to the floor behind the store counter, hiding behind a myriad of glass bottles and figurines of deities. She buried her face in her hands, nails digging at her skin as in hope of beheading the creatures burrowing out of her cheeks. The drag of nails never caught on anything besides smooth skin. That was even more alarming. This has to be real. I can't be imagining. I don't have time for hallucinations. Something swelled in Maeve's throat, and she struggled to breathe around it. The bell chimed at the store as the store door swung open. Maeve peeked over the counter. Hi, how's it going? You looking for anything in particular or just browsing? The next excerpt is a description of the building. The building would make a carpenter cringe. Rotten pieces of wood carefully strengthened with support beams. The back wall was covered in a tangled web of ink, the signatures of would-be heroes and tourists who felt it important people knew they had been there. On the stairs, more signatures, some of regulars, some of budding street artists eager to ply their craft. The signatures on the wall of the privy were the only important ones. The names and parting messages of previous assistants. They imparted camaraderie and also the encouragement. Some of us leave this struggle. Of course, leaving didn't always have a 100% success rate. Hugo's name was on the wall in 3 different places. Maeve washed her hands in the spigot, appreciating the overgrowth of ink and flyers. She thought about what she would put on the wall. Everyone did. It's human nature to muse about legacy, even just a scribble on the privy wall. This last one, I'm unfortunately going to have to do some accents to differentiate characters. I apologize to the British people in advance. But also reunite Ireland, so you know. Behind you, Jeremy said as he placed his hand on the small of Amaya's back. She grabbed his wrist without looking and twisted. A yelp of pain rang out throughout the store. Hugo poked his head around the corner, alarmed. Amaya had Jeremy's hand twisted behind his back. Jeremy's eyes were wide with confusion and panic. Hugo raised an eyebrow, inquisitive, not accusatory. He touched my waist. I was just trying to slide past you. Hugo laughed and shook his head. Rookie mistake. Women, people in this neighborhood don't take kindly to surprise touch. You all right? My arm's about to snap off. Wasn't talking to you. Hugo's eyes didn't leave Amaya's face as she spoke. I'm fine. She released the boy. He recoiled from her, rubbing his wrist. Hell's you're strong. Hell will do that to you. Does everyone here enjoy being cryptic? The boy whined. Hugo shrugged. It's one of the joys of life, right up there with fake life stories and bars. Amaya nodded, walking off to finish counting inventory. Why? Jeremy asked. Why tell lies and bars? What, you've never wanted to be someone else for a bit? See what you can get people to believe? No? I've never wanted to be anybody but me. Hugo blinked. No need to brag. And my last piece is not from the novel. It is about a woman named Walsberga Hosmarnen who was burned at the stake on September 20th, 1587. The details of this piece are taken from the arrest records and report of her execution. My husband died before I turned 30, and this is what I get. A cut-off hand and hot iron brands, a stake atop a pile of kindling. When your husband dies, and he's a vassal of a lord, you don't get to keep the house for free. I was a midwife. Some babies don't make it. Do I begrudge the mothers their grief? No. I grieved for every one of those lambs I couldn't see grow. But I begrudge them their vengeance. Seduced and beaten, abused for years on end, and in the end, I'm the one to blame. Kindly questioned and tortured. Kindly questioned and tortured. That's how they put it in the report. Kindly questioned and tortured. I would have said anything to make it stop. 30 years. 30 years of stillbirths. 30 years of miscarriages. 30 years of dying babies. I did my duty. Show me a priest that turned to midwifery. Show me a holy man who brings new life into the world, and see if they could do better than me. They call me the devil's whore. I'll admit, I was raped by the devil in disguise. 30 years beaten by a married lord, and they only intervened to put me to the death. My life has been filled with death. It's true. I'm 61 years old. Whose is it? They speak of the death, but not the survivors. The 24-year-old man who will put the fire to my stake. I held him as a baby, as he came out of his mother. They'll scar and burn my body in different spots about my body and the town. They'll cut off my right hand. Then they'll tie me to a stake and give me a skirt of flames. Seduced my boss. The man who controls my ability to eat had no control over that situation. The man in power, helpless against the underlings' wiles. Not the other way around. That story's old as time and still going. Ush looks. So now, chains rattle wrists, rattle off lists of charges, kindly questioned and tortured, adorned with scars, burns, and a skirt of flames. I pay for the crime that sometimes babies die. Thank you so much.
That was fantastic. Everybody, let's give Lily another round of applause, please. You can definitely hear the lyric quality of Lily's poetry and her prose seeping through when she reads. It's great. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a few of us scheduled to read, but we also have open mics that we do in between our scheduled readers. And so now I am going to open the mic to anyone who wants to read. Of course, it can be anything you want: poetry, short stories, some kind of combination thereof. So does anybody want to come up and read? I can't see you, by the way. You'll have to speak up because the lights are blinding me. Okay, well, I'm not going to just sit here and stare at you. So what I'll do is, you want to read?
Yeah, I'll read.
Awesome.
Yay!
Come on up here. Do you want me, what is your name?
My name's Noah.
All right, so Noah.
Hello.
Noah, do you want to tell me to tell them anything about you before you come up here? Or you just want to tell them about
I'll just
yourself?
read it. That's fine.
All right, y'all, here's Noah.
All right. I want to memorize this, but I don't have it memorized yet. This is pretty new. It's called "When You Hand Me Fruit." Every time it surprises me, these tiny kindnesses, the magic absent-mindedness with which you slip me these gifts. It's just a reflex for you, but when I receive these treats, it's like I'm returning to preschool and relearning to commune with other people peacefully. It's true. This is how I feel when you hand me fruit. I'm enchanted, I'm astonished, watching a cupped wing of fingers fan forward, and upon it, a constellation of grapes have fallen. Cold kisses that dripped out the fridge like untold wishes. Baby! These delicious ambushes that arrive like mini Christmases have me smitten. You deliver me into a richness of the present I hadn't envisioned. I couldn't conceive it. And now I see it, an eternal spray of balloons rises in sweetness. It pleases me down to my roots. I'm talking about when you hand me fruit. It could be a sunny half a tangerine handed to me under the horizon of your eyes dancing, the rest vanishing into your smile the way a fantasy can slip away intangibly. My heart hits the trampoline and goes through the roof. I'm in a peep show booth working on my sweet tooth. I can't believe you're standing next to me handing me fruit. I want to peel you down to the white pith tissue of your soft strap strips and lifts the lines of lingerie separating your luscious bits into fleshy sections, begging for some suction from my lips, touching your cupped skin, those succulent structures full of that juice. It's just what I'm thinking when you hand me fruit. Secrets of the nymphs dangle when you bring me some mango. The gentle winds of spring are baptizing me in sprinkles. Kingdoms of angels are playing marimbas. I'm watching pearls drip down a slide and commingle. Pink flamingos are flying in an infinity symbol. It's almost too much to handle. Is Eve named after you? The places you take me when you hand me fruit. It's some secret anniversary being observed. We're retelling stories we don't remember in words. Our larger souls smile at continual return. And when I smell the flower of old that ripened and rolled into this numinous bulb of gratuitous, nectarous fruit, the gap in your grin is a sylvan shadow of balms. There's this yawn of xylophone breeze that's shimmering across a pond. Prehistoric sap drips down my ass crack from a frond. I thought I had played my life all wrong, but it's led me here to you and the gratitude I feel when you hand me fruit.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you, Noah. Such great, wonderful lyricism in that poem. Okay, so I am going to bring up for our next I'm going to bring up a scheduled reader. So this is Sam, or Sammy Cat, the witty knitter.
Meow meow.
And I'm going to tell y'all just a little bit. I still remember the first time Sam read for us. It was during an open mic, and he did sort of a gothic retelling of a Bluebeard story, but really elevated and dark, even darkened, and just really made Southern, and it was really a great story. And so, is this your fourth or fifth time back now?
I lost count.
Yeah. So
This is like, because Sam's done a few of, this is like your fifth show.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I think this is
Since
Sam's
Halloween 2022.
Yeah, so it's been quite some time, and Sam will always entertain you, as you are about to find out. So Sam, if you would come take this
And
mic
Sam is
from me.
featured writer for the summer.
Thank you for that intro. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey everybody, my name's Sammy and I'm gonna... Fuck, that's the wrong meeting. I'm actually so ruined by 12-step meetings that if I introduce myself like that and people don't go, "Hi Sammy," I'm super mortified about it. So can we try that again?
Okay.
Hey everybody, my name's Sammy.
Hi, Sammy.
Thank you so much. Now I feel like we're together. Of course, and because I got a little bit nervous, my shoes just came off, so I was we're gonna do this thing barefooted. Also, this fucking chair is calling my name. I have to sit down. Because, I mean, you're not going to really fucking put this thing up here and think a bitch is not going to sit. So I have, if you go to Louisiana Words, I have several different poems that are poems and a couple of, and at least one short story I think that's up there. And literally for the first time today, I actually put everything into like a file in my Google Docs, and it just saved everything out alphabetically. So I'm just going to read a couple of things, kind of more or less in alphabetical order. The first one is called Beyond Nirvana. I wrote this when I was thinking about like what it is to kind of be a creative person today, and how we have to monetize every single fucking thing. We got to be a brand, and we got to have a TikTok, and we got to have an Instagram, which by the way, it's Witty Knitter 504 on Instagram and TikTok. I like to call it TikTok because I think that sounds funnier. But this is called Beyond Nirvana. Tick, 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 my needles go click. Onomatopoeia takes me to alegria, Spanish for joy. Financial ruin, doom, makes me grab my knitting loom and say, hi, welcome to my crafting room. You got a hobby, monetize. Hashtag win the prize. The wolf's at the door. The haters are hating. Post a pic, post a reel. Don't keep the fans waiting. And that's what it is. That's the gag, right? That's the fucking gag. That's what I'm keeping you waiting. You know, they say a joke's not funny if you have to explain it.
Untrue.
Factual and relevant. This next one is a little bit of a downer, I guess. And I'm just gonna jump into it. You'll understand what I'm talking about. I'm gonna let the poem speak for itself. It's called Dead White Chicks. Natalie Holloway, Karen Peterson, Gabby Petito. Who'll be next? Meaningless in life, mediocre at their very best. A violent mystery death grants them the status of icon. 100,000 colored girls lay in unmarked graves for no one to cry on. Podcasters sell HelloFresh with lurid tales of suburban death. Florence, Tori, Lana croon the validity of such morbidity, the anking banality of dubious morality facing mortality at the hand of the husband, the lover, the father, the brother? Better still, a stranger. Keep your eyes peeled for danger. Death comes in any form, from anywhere. But if you're blonde and pretty, the whole world will care. Ooh, this next one is called Easy. And it's also about kind of what it is to be a creative, and what it is to be it's kind of like, I guess you might call it my statement of poetics, if you want to be that artsy-fartsy about it. Easy. So easy. Tell us how much you hurt. Dish all the dirt. Let us watch that crimson spurt into the syringe and back up your arm. Feel that rush. Ring the alarm. So easy. Write the pain. Force the rhyme. Blame it on the rain in Spain or hell. Just good old-fashioned cocaine. But that's not where I live today. There are shades, but my life's not gray. I put down the poison years ago. I planted a flower. Let's watch it grow. I'm sorry, my dear. We find you simplistic and authentic to speak of joy when you're neither girl nor boy. Oh, if I could give the answer, one size fits all. But this freedom's not for sale at the mall. My drug-free, booze-free life is far from fun-free, but above all, it is mine, and praise be. Today, I love it all the time. I think this is the first poem that I submitted to Louisiana Words. I'm not sure. It's been a while, and it's called For My Lovers. You want me to go mad a bit, to scream, tear out my hair a bit? I've been asking why of it, but why never came into it. You were you, and I was me. We played Let's Pretend. Now I see. There was I, Dying slow, I could never tell you no. Here, were you? Living fast. Please, please, respond at last. I should know better than to ask. Our fates are sealed. The die is cast. Le jeu est fait, we said in French. Blood spills, the floor, drenched. Who was it? One day they'll ask. That old wench? Will you laugh before the reply? Some old faggot who got me high. I could shriek, you broke my heart. But we both played our part. Fact is, the stupid thing gave out long before our first fatal shout. So take these words, wrap them in your chords, make a song, make a sigh, just for once. Look me in the eye. You were me, and I was you. Our empty game would never do. Time's up. The dance is done. I'm here. You're there. Our game is lost. Or is it won? Ooh, yeah. In this like vein of tragic relationships, hookups. This one is called "Is This Romance?" This is one of my more recent ones. Is this romance? I would not know. I love you the way a burnt child loves the flame. Weaned on poison, harm becomes the only comfort. All my stories are about being left. All yours are about leaving. We should have known. In another universe, we had one more day together. We laughed and cried. We cooked and ate. We left no crumbs, no words unsaid, no tears, no regrets. Not happily ever after, nor eternal flame. Now who knows? So, about a little bit more than 5 years ago, I stopped using drugs and alcohol, and I hit a rock bottom several times, and one of my biggest rock bottoms took place on Sheffin Tour Highway at this little crack motel. I had sucked this man's dick, and I sucked his dick for $20, y'all. And after he left, there was like a half a bottle of beer left in my hotel room, and I went to rinse that ugly bastard's cum out of my mouth with the beer, and I broke that bottle, and I was gonna stick it in my neck. And then I said to myself, girl, if you kill yourself after you made this $20, it's like you sucked that man's dick for free.
The 20 first.
I was like, oh no, bitch, we better get some crack. So I went to the hotel room down the hallway, and that's where I met the love of my life up to that point. And it ended up being a lot more painful. We called him Stripper Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan, dear Jonathan, now you're gone again. Into that dark night, though you never sleep, at least not for long. A few moments of still semi-consciousness was enough for you. Then you were off again, my precious, precious Jonathan, back on the bike, always looking for more, more, more. Nothing was enough. Too much was the attainable, the unavailable goal. To fill your hole, the one in your ass, the one in your soul. I loved you so much, I loved you so well. But perhaps only as much as I could. The poison we shared guaranteed that it was never, no, never any damn good. Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you once more.
Thank you.
This next one is called Graffiti. And this is a true story. This is not about inner cities, multicolored, multicultural murals, nor paint marker scrawl as boxcars crawl cross country on rusty, rustic iron, crumbling wood. It's about one white word, big as life, sprayed across the black top of a figure-8 subdivision in front of the last house on the left, across from an empty lot, leaving no doubt in the rural South at noon on May 24, 1992. 6 letters. Starts with F. Ends in T. Crossword clue. A word he has heard, whispered, chanted, shouted. Every day of his life. At home and school, somehow too quiet for a teacher to hear. He, the ugly boy, the fat boy, the one who talks like a girl, throws like a girl, cries like a girl, might as well be a girl. But girls don't get treated like this, except when they do. When their femininity, like his masculinity, cannot attain conformity. That ugly boy, that fat boy, the boy who is not quite a boy, is scrubbing on all fours now. Asphalt attacks palms and knees, merciless sun blistering his neck, lip split, knot swelling behind the ear, a large, hard bristle brush, no match for Krylon. He has no solvents, no solution to melt the word, if you didn't act that way. Cars come to the end of the block, pass him by and turn right. He doesn't look up. He wishes for nothing more nor less than a crash to set his soul free, to knock his body under sweet, sickly shade of the magnolia tree. It is the Sunday after high school graduation, fresh from church convocation, a fool to think 2 days before he had escaped this word, white and implacable. It's not coming off. It won't budge nor flake. The blood, the snot, the spit, tears drip from his face mixed with the paint. Fantasize. The mixture is magic. Visualize. The odious word evaporating off the street the way the rain does on a day like this, off of the pavement, out of his ears, not just for today, but for all the days of his life. Lost in the fantasy. Dreams of dancing free among lovely people who smile and hug and celebrate. As lost as he gets, he is more disorientated when he awakes later. Head sore in a cool, air-conditioned clinical light. 17-year-old male suffering from severe sunburn, dehydration, abrasions noted on the palms and both patellas. Occipital hematoma may indicate concussion. How did you say this happened, sir? He fell off his bike. You know, kids these days. The voice trails off. Awkward silence. Last time he'd fallen off his bike, he was 13. He put the beastly thing in the garage and never saw it since. Oh, look now. He's come around. Is that all right? Is that right? You fell off your bike? Suspicious, sad eyes. Try to probe his soul. A simple nod. Silence. Consent to the lie. It is pointless. Exhausting to tell the truth. A lesson learned several times. His eyes closed. He hopes to slip away, but no, he's stuck here today. Extra zinc Tylenol prescribed. A few fronds of aloe vera sacrificed. That night, someone paints over the word. Black paint on the black street. The blacks don't match, but rather betray the shape of the letters. Monday morning, the brutality of the word remains ghostly, yet real. Ooh, that was kind of a ride. Let me there's more, but I'm gonna finish with my most recent one. And again, I'm just gonna let the poem speak for itself. It's called "Nobody Said There'd Be a Day Like This." I know how this should be. I've seen it, you see, in soap operas, movies. Your eyes are closed, as if in sleep. Perfect peachy skin atop a snow-white pillow under flawlessly matched sheets. The heart monitor, quiet bleeps. The ventilator, a steady hiss. None of that is this. Your eyes stuck open, seeing without sight. Yellow sclera, dumb tears streaming. Tubes taped to your face. Delicate skin torn where nurses reposition the tubes to feed you, to heal you. You never like being told what to do. Your whole torso spasms, spastic. Every 40 seconds, a machine forces your lungs to act. Your hands are warm from hemodialysis, but don't respond when we each grab one and give it a kiss. We spend the day brushing your hair, telling tales, singing songs, praying prayers. You're not there. Hospital staff are more lovely, if less pretty, than on TV. When the time comes, they gently walk us from the room, close the curtain, remove the tubes, close the eyes. We resume our positions, your body still vaguely convulsing as if it remembers the machine but is slowly forgetting. 40 seconds become 45, become 50. Spasms turn into shakes, turn into stillness. A stethoscope tells the nurse what we all know. Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody, let's give Sam another round of applause. That was an emotional trip that you took us on, and I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to go off script now. Sorry, Louis. And I'm going to open us up for another open mic right now. So I'm going to stop and see right now, does anyone have anything they want to share with us? Again, I can't see you, so I'll need to hear you. Oh, I see movement, but it's not movement this way.
I'll read something.
Will you?
Yay!
Do you, any introduction?
No, I can do it.
Okay.
So my name's Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Thank you. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I'm not anywhere near Louisiana. I've never lived in Louisiana, though I've been to New Orleans twice now in the last 7 years, and I've absolutely loved it each time. So just want to say that.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So the thing I want to read today is actually something I gave to someone in Framed on Thursday this last week, someone who I like. We've been talking for a couple months now. And maybe the interesting thing about this poem that I want to read is it's not all me. So I come from a background of engineering and computer science, and I actually used AI to help write some of it and modify it by myself. And so what I say to you is not anything to degrade anyone that anyone has already produced here, because what you have done is incredible, and I am not creative in that way. I am creative just in more of a solutions-based, not in terms of a poetry base. So please bear with me on that. So, poem by Matt and AI, titled Dog Daddy. In a world so vast, where doggies play. I found my light, my daddy one day. With a gentle hand, he reached for me, and in that moment, I was truly free. He walks with me when dawn is new, through golden fields and morning dew. His voice so soft, it guides my way. In his arms, I want to forever stay. We've journeyed far, from park to shore. Each step with him, I cherish more. He's taught me love and how to be the best dog that he ever did see. When one of us had a part too soon, he wiped his tears beneath the moon. But his heart so big, it never fell, for he knew in time all would be well. Another of us would come along to join his pack where love is strong. And though we're many, near and far, we know we're safe beneath a star. He's given us more than we could dream. In every bark, in every beam, we're his children, his joy, his pride. In his heart, we all reside. So thank you, Daddy, for all you do, for every hug and every chew. You're the best dog, Daddy, this is true, and we're forever grateful through and through. We're yours forever, come what may. In your heart, we'll always stay, for you're the best there'll ever be. Our one, our only dog daddy. Thank you.
Okay, y'all, let's give Matt another round of applause. As an English teacher who deals with AI in my class all the time, I have to say that was a very creative use of AI that I can support. Okay, so now I'm going to go back on track, and we're going to bring up our next scheduled reader. Now, after our next scheduled reader, we are going to have our last open mic session. So I want to encourage any of you out there who don't have the courage yet to come up and read, to find that courage while you are listening to the creator of Louisiana Words, Louis Toliver, do his reading. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Louis. I've known Louis for, probably almost 20 years, at least 15 years now. And he has done so much for the people in and around Louisiana, especially when it comes to writing and giving us a platform for our voices. He didn't really go into this too much earlier, so I will. He originally started Louisiana Words as a reaction to the Sandy Hook massacre, so he could find a way to sort of try to deal with that. I don't try to say it the way he does, but to find a way to make something good out of something horrible, right? And so over time it's changed, obviously, and he's changed with us, and it changes with him. So if y'all would please welcome to the stage the creator and founder of Louisiana Words, Louis Toliver Jr.
All right, y'all. So I am Louis Toliver, and I just want to again say, if you like what you're seeing, I want to clap for Lily, Sam, Michael, too. Great stuff. They've been very loyal to Louisiana Words. They send me stuff to submit. If you're not familiar with kind of how it works, basically the writers send me stuff, and I create ads for them and post them and share them. We have LouisianaWords.com, LouisianaWordsBlogspot.com. Then we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. So the goal is just to promote everybody and let everybody have a voice. I'm hoping this continues to thrive and become stronger. So in Austin, things are a little bit different. I host a thing called Naked People Reading, NPR. Okay. I inherited it from there was a business that was doing it, and their lease did not get renewed because they're expanding the highway, and they actually moved. So among all the many things I do, I'm also a Leatherman in the community. I work with a lot of activism. I was here judging a competition yesterday. So I just inherited it as a part of my community work. So I've taken it on and done it. And so the biggest thing about Reading Naked, obviously, is vulnerability, and that is something that I stress a lot at the shows. But this past show, I read about child abuse that I went through. I created a series called Louis II. I am Louis Toliver Jr. My dad's name is Louis Toliver Sr. I guess maybe I'll go into this and just read the story. But I am in EMDR therapy right now. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Cool, for trauma. Unfortunately, a lot of the trauma I've been dealing with has to deal with me being physically abused as a child. So I decided that I would take this series and my trauma and stuff and put into something that I could share with people, because I know we don't really talk about this. And I just kept thinking how I held in so much of what I was going through as a child secretly. And so even though I'm about to turn 40 this October, I'm trying to save a child that might be 8 or 7 years old right now that might need to know that what they're going through is not their fault. So I'm going to read the first. I have 10 episodes so far. They've been primarily dealing with my more formative years, but I'm starting the second part of the series that will deal more with high school. Here's the first episode. It's called Louis II, number 1, When I Was Daddy's Boy. I'm not sure why it is that we have the societal need to gender everything. Boys are supposed to see guidance from their fathers, and girls see guidance from their mothers. To be honest, any of us is lucky to have one good parent or someone guiding us like a parent. But I want to stress that whether you have a mother and a father or not, you are just as capable of being a stable woman or man, even if you are also transgender. However, my focus isn't about stability yet. It's about safety. The hard truth is that sometimes our parents, mother or father, are the ones we need to be protected from. Though I can't think of any fond memories except sitting in my father's lap before the age of 3, there is still a fondness for my father when I try thinking back to that age. I was born in Farmington Hills, Michigan, outside of Detroit. Detroit is where I grew up from birth to the age of 4. I don't have many too negative memories from my early years, but sadly at this age, it's hard to comprehend when a parent is impacting you negatively or positively. As a child, we trust our parents. We expect them to love us and not harm us. I believed as a child that my father was a strong man who loved me, his family, and had no interest in hurting us. That's typically what fathers want to be if they're serious. Even though I have those fond memories of age 3, I can't fool myself into thinking that my father wasn't abusive and abused me in a plethora of ways. Details are coming in later episodes. From the beginning of my life, I have so many issues with trust and touching that all stem from my distrust and inappropriate touching from my father. This brings me to a challenging point in my life. Is it really worth being daddy's boy? For me, no. Unfortunately, adult me can't give 3-year-old me advice. I wish I could. However, it's not like I was mama's boy either. I spent a lot of time with my mother, not because I wanted to. Her focus was teaching me. I think deep down inside, my mother felt a need to protect me. My mom put in a lot of energy to make sure I didn't follow in my father's footsteps. My family would relocate to Monroe, Louisiana before I turned 5 years old. My mother was the breadwinner and worked for General Motors. She was the dominant one, but I wouldn't tell my father that. Often, when he was drunk, I think he antagonized my mother to feel superior. When we moved to Monroe, my perspective of my father started to change. By the time I turned 8 years old, I feared my father's presence. I felt safer when my father was asleep or gone. You see, it would be later in my childhood that I would become aware of my father's instability and inconsistency. All right, this is going to be episode 3. Secret Abuse Part 1. My father's alcohol and gambling addiction severely worsened by the time I was 8 years old. As a result, my dad's twisted sense of humor, torture, and abuse worsened. Sometimes both my mother and I would be targeted. More so, I put myself in the middle. One school night, my father came home drunk and began antagonizing my mom. My mother was never been a weak person. She never was afraid of my father. Rather, she feared what my father would do to me. My mother eventually called the police, and a neighborhood friend, Josh's father, who was a police officer, came over to investigate. Even as a child, I felt embarrassed and shame over my home life. My mother didn't press charges, so the officer left. His mother and father remained peaceful for the night. The next day, I was laying my head on the cafeteria table, a little upset, waiting for the bell to ring to my 3rd grade class at Fuerst Elementary. My best friend at the time, Billy, tapped my head. "What's wrong, Louis?" he said. I raised my head and said, "I can't talk about it." Put my head back down. He says, "Why are you upset?" He says, "This is the only time I ever told anyone about my father's abuse as a child. My dad hit my mom with the phone." Billy's father worked for the police department too. I had friends who had police officer fathers, and so he offered. He was like, "Do you want me to tell your dad?" Tell my dad. I was like, "No." I popped my head up. My dad would be mad. Of Of course, I was terrified of my father and what he would do to me and my mother. Billy's instinct to get his father involved scared me from giving anyone a hint of what was happening on my own. So I continued to hide and internalize the trauma and pain I was going through. My father instilled mostly fear into me, which he even told me he wanted to do. He wanted me to fear him. I sometimes wonder if charges had been pressed against him or any of the multiple times that he abused me, would I have gotten accountability. All right, and then this is episode 7. This is called Secret Abuse Part 2, aka the worst beating ever. 2 years after the events of Secret Abuse Part 1, I was 10 and in the 5th grade. I had quite a bit of neighborhood friends, and if school wasn't in session, we hung out every day in the grade school summers. However, one Sunday evening, I had gone out for the afternoon to play with my friends down the street. My curfew for playing was 5 p.m. I guess I must have got caught up in playing basketball with my friends. All of a sudden, my father's van came flying up the road. I asked what time it was, and one of my friends said 5:03 p.m. My father saw my friends, and I was playing in the driveway. My father yelled out the window, "Get your ass home now." My friends looked at me in shock, and I instantly filled up with fear. The tone, the action, everything was pointing to danger. How my father treated me was based on his mood. When I got home, my father had not made it back to the house yet, and I was hoping my mother would be there because I felt like something bad was going to happen. Unfortunately, my father soon arrived. He told me to get my Sega Genesis controller. When I brought it to him, he began using the cord to beat me. It felt like it was a long time, but let's say he gave me about 30 lashes, each strike strong beyond an unbearable belief. When he was done, I don't even remember crying. I was sure I was in shock as I didn't move to getting off of the floor. He went back into my parents' room. When my mother returned from visiting church friends, I was still laying on the floor whimpering. The lashes were bleeding and they covered my entire body. My mother was very upset. She took me in the bathroom and started to nurse all the lashes in my body to stop them from bleeding. It was common for us to go to church service twice on Sundays, mostly first Sundays for communion. However, this was the 3rd Sunday, and Mother decided to go back to church and take me with her. I'm sure to pray. I sang in the church choir at the time, but that night, my mother sat on the front pew, me with her, and that evening, I laid my head on my mother's shoulder. The choir director motioned for me to come up to the choir stand, but my mother motioned that I wasn't feeling well. It was later that night when we got back home that my mother must have said something to my scared father because he called me into my parents' bathroom. He looked at my wounds and he apologized over and over again. He promised that in that moment that he would never beat me like that again, which was obviously a lie. He began looking for ways to beat me without leaving marks. We'll get into that more later. It's crazy to think that something horrible like this has happened to me as a child and no one knew about it until now. Thank you all. I want to pick it up. It's no secret. Every day is a struggle for me to like men, and I know I'm a man, so that sucks. So I'm very much into female empowerment right now and being able to have women that can be recognized as individuals. And this whole thing that a woman serves a man, I just can't deal with it. It drives me crazy. Why would anybody think that you're born in the world to be a slave to anybody? Does that make sense? And you shouldn't be second to a man. This is called an apology from Adam to Eve. Dearest Eve, I really hope you can forgive me for putting you in your place. Wouldn't you have done the same thing had you been in my place? We had Eden and we lost it. The world was in my delicate hands, earthly perfection, but I lost us, you. I'm the snake. I am the fall. Forgive me, Eve. I blamed you, and now a woman is nothing but the woe of a cowardly man. Take my hand and please love me today and forgive me for yesterday, baby. Will you take me in your arms again and make me your equal, Eve? Love, Adam. This one's called To My Single Ladies. I haven't forgotten about you. I get so caught up in men that I need to give you some attention. When you get dressed this morning, make sure that shirt is cut low. Make sure that that skirt is too short. Put on them heels and walk out that door. If a guy says you're asking for it, kick him in the crotch and say, so are you. Because he is just jealous that he can't show his body with the confidence that you do. So you keep working those jobs and flipping your hair. He'll just be scratching his ass and gagging for more. Till you meet the right single gentleman who respects you as I do. All right. And this is my last one. It's just kind of, a lot of my writing is, I don't say simple, like I make fun of things, and sex especially in the community, is important. Sex education is important. And a lot of things that we see in society are because of lack of education. So this is just kind of pointing a fact at the things that we focus on. This is called Let's Not Talk About Sex. Here comes another stork to deliver my precious babies, says the sexually frustrated dork, holding up a gun, acting shady. Women are whores, don't be tricked so blindly. When they get on all fours, the dork shouted, following me. God wants you to understand not sex, but all precious guns. That is the power to ban. The dork preached to his sons. Why sex is evil, violence is bliss. I give power with great certainty. 2 women came from an abyss, each held a baby with uncertainty. The dork touched him with the gun. The women were raped with fear. He held his new kin up to the sun. All his sons with guns made cheer. So basically the point of the fact is that I think you kind of get it. We're focused on the wrong things, right? That's all I've got for tonight, y'all. Thank you all for coming to this show. I'm going to kick it back over to Michael.
Okay, everybody, let's give another round of applause for Lewis. Now, as I promised earlier, there is going to be a final open mic session now. So I'm going to open it up to you all and ask, is there anyone willing and able, brave enough to come up here and share their writing with us?
Just go read a Wikipedia.
Come on. Where's yours at? There you go. How about that? She's iconic. I love her.
Well, it is Southern Decadence, and I know a lot about consent, so I'm not going to force anyone to come up here. Before we return to the other gutter fantasy, which is Southern Decadence, I want us again to thank all of our readers from tonight. Lily Lechler, Sammy Cat, Noah, Matt, and Louis Toliver. You all did a fantastic job. I really appreciate it. I also want...
And Michael, clap for Michael.
Thank you. I also want to give y'all a round of applause because it's really hard to do something like, create reading events. We compete with a lot of things out there that are fun and exciting and sexy right now, and you all still came out and gave us the support that we need. And being creative is sometimes a very lonely thing, and it's nice to have the community around us that we've really started to build with this. So I really want to thank you all and give y'all a round of applause for it. Okay, so y'all, that is it for our show. If our readers would please come up to the stage, we're gonna take a picture. And if anyone wants to stand around, mill around afterwards and ask us any questions, please feel free to. I've been Michael Norris.